Could we stop the music, please, for just a second? And I want to speak to you from someplace deep. It's all right, Pat. Hold it together. Hold it together. Stu, not you two now. Come on. Here's a man who provided heating oil for thousands of Americans. Here's a man who cared deeply, deeply about the poor. In Venezuela. And thank God we had him as long as we did. Let's be serious about this. If he would have been able to tolerate the imperialists here in the United States, these money-hungry bastards, really, that work in the health industry here, and the health industrial complex, if you will.
Military health industrial complex.
He would have probably not lasted as long as he did, but because he was wise and he went to get the health care there in Venezuela and
Cuba.
And Cuba, the incredible health care at Cuba. He lasted as long as he did, and we thank the Lord that.
But now we've lost 50s, him. By the way.
We lost him.
The guy, because
Hugo
of Cuban
Chavez,
healthcare,
we lost him.
He lasted to his 50s.
Yeah.
50s.
Clear into his 50s. How many Americans do?
All right, so stop.
Because
stop.
We don't have the health care.
You're getting me misty-eyed.
I know.
But we lost him, and many of the Democrats, the only ones that really have the balls to tell the truth about who he was, and many in Hollywood are.
He was a champion, Glenn, of the poor. He was a champion.
Thank you.
Champion of the poor.
Thank you.
Sean Penn said it best when he said, "Poor people around the world lost a champion." Thank you, Sean. Thank you for summing it up so well.
Now, the people in Venezuela, and I mean all of the people, I mean all of the people.
All of them.
They have declared a 7-day mourning period, but I'm going to go a step further.
You're going to go 8 days?
No. I believe I'll be in mourning the rest of my life.
That's more than one step, I think. That's
several steps.
That's several steps. That's like sprinting away from the people of Venezuela.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rich Man. I'm sorry, Mr. Imperialist. I'm sorry, jam it down my throat because you think
I apologize.
You're Mr. Patriot Extremist. You white supremacist. You neo-Nazi fascist.
Because I said you're sprinting away from the people of Venezuela.
You're mocking his pain.
No,
what you're doing.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying he's going.
You don't understand how
quite a bit
can mourn
further
for the rest of his life on such
no,
a
of course
great
I do.
champion.
Of course I do. I am
of freedom.
Of
man's freedom. Of man's freedom. That's what we're talking about here. Man's freedom.
No one's more broken up than I am over this socialist death.
Well, remember when he freed those 34 radio stations worth of people from their jobs?
Yes,
he freed them.
He
freed them
took
from
them under his own fold.
Yeah.
He took them under his wing.
How about all the people
if you will?
How about all the people that he took and he freed from the oppression of the outside world and put them right directly into prison?
Yeah.
Because they opposed him.
And how many squares a day do they get in prison? At least one every other day
they
or so.
Eat.
They
eat.
sometimes eat.
Still, they can eat.
They sometimes eat for free.
When you're in a cell, you have no risk almost of skin cancer from the sun.
No.
Almost none.
No.
And he didn't want them to suffer his fate.
Right.
He was a
had
champion
cancer.
of the poor people. Who made people, seriously, in all of Latin America, who made more people poor than Hugo Chavez? He was a champion of the poor.
You're right.
Yeah.
He helped people become poor.
Well, they
did.
Like no other champion I've ever seen.
People always say, "Oh, we want to expand the middle class." He went further.
He said, "Let's expand
the poor,
the
poverty class."
Let's remember the poverty. So remember the poverty.
Yeah.
And we are in mourning this morning, and one of those mornings is spelled with a U, and the other one is not. And that's the really important thing about mourning. You are part of it. Okay.
Sorry, that's beautifully put.
That was really beautiful.
It chokes you up? Because it choked me up a little bit, too.
It did.
Are you okay? Are you okay? You seem to be.
Not yet. Give me a minute.
Okay. I guess you guys are really crushed.
Oh,
we were close to. We were close to. I'm a little disappointed. I asked if we could have some 1791 black armbands made.
I think they're working on that right now.
They're working on them?
Yeah, they are. I've been told it's.
Tim was so upset last night. He's the designer of all the clothing at 1791.
Tim was a huge Hugo fan.
He was a huge Hugo fan, and he was at his sewing machine last night. And he just had his arm over the top of the sewing machine, and he was just weeping so hard,
sobbing.
And some of the jeans that apparently he makes himself with that sewing machine that you might get from 1791,
they're going to be a little damp.
They'll be a little salty. They'll be a little salty.
Salty jeans?
Yeah, from his tears.
And, of course, that means they will be banned in New York City.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't wear them in New York City.
No.
So
I think
we lost him.
We lost him, and you have to think about all that he accomplished. For example, he realized in a democratic place like Venezuela, the only way for the people in poverty to truly be treated fairly is to make poverty the majority. And once you have them as the majority, they can vote their own interests and advance the cause of the poor.
Absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful concept.
Morning has you in it, and I think we need to remember that, not just today, not just tomorrow, not just the next day or the day after that or the day after that or the day after that, or a week after all of those days or a month,
including the original days.
Oh, all of those days.
Or even a year after the days
that
followed the week.
All those days. The next is 365 days. All of them. Don't skip one that you don't remember that. And you don't take into heart. In fact, what we're going to do is, Friday is the funeral and we can't go. Well, for one reason, the last time I tried to go speak to the people in Venezuela, they surrounded the building that I was supposed to speak in with military, just in case I would show up. So, but he was only doing that to protect the poor and to ensure that people could be free to speak.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Free to remain poor.
Free.
As they were choosing to do.
Exactly right.
It was a beautiful gesture on Hugo's
how many, let's be honest, how many people are choosing to be poor in America now?
Not that many. Not as many. But some are.
No.
Well, it's slightly over 50%.
53%
but
of the
that's
voting.
That's still not as many as in Venezuela.
Yeah.
But, we're getting closer. But we haven't reached
we're
their
approaching, and I'm hoping that we could get closer to 90% voting for poor. And damn those rich people.
I know.
But anyway,
I know.
And now that's my anger.
I know. This isn't a day for that.
No, it's a day
for mourning. For sadness and mourning.
And
mourning, of course, has you in it.
Thank you very much. And so on Friday is the funeral.
And of course we are busy doing something else, so we can't anything else. And we can't be there.
Well, what I'm going to do is we're going to damn the proletariat, really.
Yes, I think that's a great point.
Or is it the bourgeois?
The bourgeois. The bourgeois. We like the
proletariat. The proletariat. Those guys.
We love the proletariat.
But the bourgeoisie, those guys, I hate.
Hate the bourgeoisie.
And
they're too bougie.
And I'm mad.
The whole bourgeoisie is totally bougie.
Thank you. And I'm mad. Be careful with that because I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Right.
And I'm mad at the fact that I don't have a black armband today, but I'm going to wear one.
They're coming.
Maybe for the rest of my life. But I'm going to wear one because on Friday, while we can't make his funeral, we're going to have one here. And we'll, Pat, may I tell you about this letter that I got from his family last night when they reached out to me. And
oh, my gosh, I wish you would.
So close.
I wish you would.
And they said, could Pat and Stu and would you be willing to speak at his funeral that some might say is a mock funeral on Friday?
Okay.
Because they hate, they're part of the bourgeoisie.
Oh, the bourgeoisie.
They didn't read that book that he gave to the president. Remember that book?
Oh, yeah.
Man.
It told the truth.
It told the truth. It was time for somebody to tell
Was it hard for Americans to look at and listen to? Yes.
Sure. But should they?
Yes.
Yes.
It told the truth.
A spoonful of dirt helps the medicine go down. We don't have sugar anymore because
Michael Bloomberg banned it.
And
President's wife.
Right. So, but a spoonful of dirt makes the medicine go down. And that's really something that you need to remember.
Mourning.
Well, you are in mourning.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Friday. We'll have our special service for Hugo Chavez, and we'll, of course, have the...
funeral potatoes, right, that day?
We are going to bring the funeral potatoes in.
I don't know that everyone knows the traditions behind funeral potatoes, perhaps.
No, I think everybody
They're
does.
delicious, cheesy potatoes that you bring to a funeral.
Yeah. Well, not to the funeral.
No,
we
to
will.
Yeah.
To the wake or to the, gathering together. Afterwards, you have to have some funeral potatoes. And so we're going to make funeral potatoes for Friday's show. And you don't want to miss it. It's really you. It won't be morning unless you are in it.
You know what is perhaps the most frustrating part of all of this?
Yeah.
This loss of Hugo Chavez
That we lost
to
him.
cancer.
That's the most frustrating part.
It's there's worse than that.
He could have been saved if he had just gone back to Cuba one more time.
And that's true.
One more time.
But you know
he
what?
couldn't make the last treatment. They had, they had a guy that could feel where your cancer is, and he could just rub his hands on you, and then
and then he put the chicken blood on top.
no, it's not chicken blood. It's your real blood. He's pulling organs and stuff right out of you, and he could pull it all out. And that was he was going to do that. The chicken blood, that's old school, but they do use chickens still because chickens. I'm not going to get into
No,
it.
but they have natural healing power. We all know that.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say I'm not going to
everybody
waste it.
in
I'm not
Cuba
going
does anyway.
to throw pearls in front of the bourgeoisie.
Thank you.
But we have to report that the bourgeoisie was responsible, as this cancer was a weapon designed by the United States and, of course, implemented inside of Hugo
Thank goodness.
Chavez to kill
Thank
him.
you. Somebody is finally saying it. Where did you get this?
Hugo
Truth.
Chavez.
Hugo Chavez.
Yeah, he said it in 2008 and then 2011, and then the vice president just said it again, that it was actually us.
Joe Biden said that?
No, that I would actually believe.
Yeah,
but no,
okay.
it was the vice president of Venezuela.
So it was us that gave
hang
him
on,
the
hold
disease
on.
in the first place?
Hold on just a second. Is there a difference between the vice president of Venezuela and the vice president of the
We're
United
trying
States?
to ascertain that right now.
All right, let's get the
Doing a
facts down.
DNA
Let's have
test.
this.
There is. The vice president of Venezuela has an IQ over 12.
Okay, so we
there
do
is a-
know
there is a
there is a
difference.
difference.
There is a difference.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe he's just using all of his smarts in Venezuela. Maybe it's the same one. Keep going with the DNA test.
Okay. Yeah.
Or as Biden would call it, the NDA test.
But they did actually say that it was us that gave him the cancer in the first
And
place.
they're right.
And
You
of
know
course
they're
you're right because it was probably Dick Cheney designed disease. I would
let me
say
tell you
this is what he's
something.
been doing since he left office.
We had the cancer. I'm. You know what? I'm just going to say it.
Oh no!
I'm
Wait,
just gonna
I thought
say-
we were going to stop you on this.
I'm just going to say it.
Oh,
and
no.
you can't
Don't
stop
let your
me.
anger catch up to you today.
I'm just going to say it.
Oh no!
While this government was creating the AIDS virus to kill the black man here in America, they came up with the Hugo Chavez cancer virus.
Oh no!
And gave it to
During
me.
that same
And I'm
research?
just going to say it. I'm
During
just
the
going to
same
say it.
You said it already. You don't have to.
I'm going to say it
announce that you're
again.
saying it.
All right? I'm going to say it again. We had, and this is how we did it. Okay? We took these poor Saudis that loved all men, and we trained them to kill in an airplane. And all these people, you know who was on the plane?
Halliburton.
Jew lovers. Okay, they were on the plane, and they strapped these poor Saudis onto the
But no Jews, because they were warned off the plane before.
Oh yeah, the Jews were off the plane,
No
and they were out of the
actual
building.
Jews.
Yeah.
Okay,
No actual Jews were killed.
No, or harmed at all
Yeah.
on September 11th.
Jew lovers were killed on the plane,
Yes.
but
But they
not
deserved
in
it.
the.
I mean, obviously.
I mean,
You
the
know.
bourgeois Jew lovers. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they were on the plane along with Halliburton, and underneath they had all of the documents that proved the linkage between the government creating AIDS to kill all the black men. And also, they flew that plane, and not a lot of people know this, but we don't watch a lot of stuff on radar. That plane actually swooped down and put an aerosol spray in the air over Hugo Chavez's house. Then came up.
That swooped quite a long way.
It was a big plane. It's smaller. It's a long way for you.
Yeah.
But it's a
Not for the
big
plane.
plane.
Okay.
So it seemed, it's like the water fountains when you were a kid. You'd go back to your school, your elementary school, and you're like, wow, that water fountain is close to the floor.
I didn't go to a bougie school that had water fountains.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I wouldn't relate to that.
Neither did I. I just saw it in a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to my school. My school was a mud hut made entirely out of. Now I'm getting a little misty-eyed because we made it entirely out of the bones of patriot extremists.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah. All right, I've said too much, so we're gonna. That's Friday.
That was a painful break. I hope people can get through that.
I hope you don't hold it against me that I spilled the beans, and we're going to have the funeral potatoes on Friday. Don't miss it. A broadcast unlike any other broadcast
that we couldn't do without you. As in
morning, and that'll be Friday. Our special live coverage of the death. No, damn it. The life of Hugo Chavez.
It's a celebration of life.
Thank you.